Today on Growing Idaho, Idahoans are feeling the strain of housing costs. Boise State's annual public policy survey, a wealth of information for what's worrying all of us, Idahoans, and what people want the legislature to work on. We talked about transportation last week. This week, we're talking about one of the other worries, housing, and specifically renting.
Housing kind of rose in prominence a few years ago.
Matthew May, Ph.D., runs Boise State's annual public policy survey. According to that survey, Idahoans are worried about paying their mortgages and rent. We shared these results with you last week. Idahoans want the legislature to address all these issues on this list, but they put more importance, on a scale from 1 to 10, on lawmakers doing something about education, the economy, and health care when compared to housing. Now, we are still very much in a housing crisis. So why aren't people worried more? May says they are, and they worry more every year, but all of our worries have actually intensified at roughly the same rate.
So while there's been some changes, it's not been a particularly dramatic reordering of priorities from Idahoans over the last 10 years.
In fact, housing actually fell from third to fourth on the list, but May stresses that falls within the margin of error, and that doesn't mean enough has been done to help the housing crisis.
So things aren't necessarily better, but they're not necessarily worse.
Also dropping, but only slightly, are these numbers. The survey asked if the cost of housing puts financial strain on people's families. Half of people said yes, either a lot or a little. Again, these numbers are down by about 3 points. That is not much and is again in the margin of error. So there is no reason to celebrate. And renters specifically say they're in a lot of trouble.
71% of renters said yes, that the housing costs place a financial strain on them, compared to just 39% of those who own a home. So that's a dramatic difference depending on what.
According to Apartment List, rent has gone up in Idaho about 2% over the past 12 months. It doesn't sound like much, but it was high already. Also, housing financial strain really depends on a number of other factors as well. Say you have a higher chance of reporting financial strain if you live in Canyon County, if you're non-white, and if you make less than $50,000 a year. Time now 6:17. Coming